Rand Fishkin. Hello.
Okay.
So great to have you here. I feel like I don't need to introduce you, but I'll do it anyway. Co-founder of SparkToro. If anybody hasn't started using it yet, it's an amazing customer research platform that will literally turn your world around on the marketing front. You may know him from Moz, and if you don't know him from these two places, then you've definitely seen his marketing whiteboard videos that we've all come to love and adore. Thank you for creating those, and thank you for being with me today on this banter.
My pleasure, Billy. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. So we've got a lot of marketing issues that we love to talk about on LinkedIn mainly. And we've chosen to go with a topic that is actually one massive elephant in the marketing room. And that is, you know what? Marketing and approving marketing's worth in 2025 seems like a mission impossible. We have AI that's about to replace us all. And, you know, AI can do everything as far as the C-levels are concerned. We have attribution mess, like we can't attribute anything clearly. Not that we ever could, by the way, and that's a different discussion. And it almost feels like marketers are actually setting themselves up for failure before they've even started, because if they can't attribute and say, this is us, this is accredited to marketing, and if on the other side they're saying, hey, you're not doing a good enough job, surely AI can do this better, what the hell are we all doing here? Rand, how are we going to help our fellow marketers? I mean, they need help. They're all with this. There isn't one marketer who isn't dealing with this.
Yeah, that's, well, there's one. No, in all seriousness, we at SparkToro or Snack Bar Studio, which is one of my other companies, Alert Mouse, we don't care about this stuff at all. It's just attribution is, in my opinion, pointless. Because it's impossible, it's pointless to try, and you will spend so much more budget and energy and people's time than you get any value from it. First off, attribution rarely changes anything. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in my years at my first startup, where we did try and do massive amounts of attribution modeling, the executive team still made no different decisions to, you know, when, oh, well, Facebook was 1/4 responsible for 16% of our free trials last month. Yeah.
So you give more money to Facebook, supposedly.
Maybe.
But you're in a rare position. You are in a rare position of being a marketer and the founder of the company.
That is exactly right.
Most CEOs are not marketers. They're not, you know, there's a meet Ben Dobblegong who is marketer by hand.
You know what I don't do, Billy?
What?
I don't tell my co-founder, Casey, who's our lead engineer, CTO, I don't tell him how to write code. I don't tell him which variables to call when we need, you know, faster performance. I don't tell him which server setups to use on AWS. Well, because
but you're privileged.
I trust him.
Yes.
Right? And so I think part of the problem of this conversation is that there is a fundamental lack of trust between many executives and their marketing team. And I would say, if you don't trust and believe the people that you hired, that is your fault. That is your fault, CEO, and you should fix that. And the way to fix that is not to invest in AI attribution platforms to try and improve things. It is to work with people you trust.
Okay.
Right? And the way you prove to yourself that marketing is working is not attribution modeling. Attribution modeling is fundamentally misleading, and you can prove this to yourself in a million ways. And there's plenty of blog posts out there. I've written some. You can go watch videos, whatever. The way to invest in marketing in a way where you can prove that it works is you make an investment and then you see lift. And you will first see lift at the top of the funnel, and then you will see lift in the middle of the funnel, and then you will see lift at the bottom of the funnel. And you will have a varying timeline for how long it takes someone to move from top of funnel, you know, your average customer to move from top of funnel to bottom of funnel. And it's your obligation to have trust and faith that attention and impressions and awareness metrics that happen at the top of the funnel that then turn into email subscribers to your newsletter, or people who use your free version, or whatever your middle of funnel is, and then your bottom of funnel. It is your obligation to measure those things, but not try and attribute any particular channel with some percentile metric to each individual visitor and each individual customer.
You and I know that. The marketers listening to us, watching us, know that. But how do they get their management to understand that? Because it feels like we're telling stories. It feels like, oh, you don't want to prove that it works because you just want more budget. When, at the end of the day, because the guy who's writing code for you, right, he can show you that after I've written this code, the product now does this, right? It's easy, it's a lot easier. So how do you as a marketer prove it upwards?
Yeah. So I'm saying exactly the same thing, right? That when Casey writes code and the product functions and works, and I can test it and I can see that the product works and does what it's supposed to do, that is the same thing as marketing made these investments and top of funnel impression metrics rose, and then middle of funnel sign up metrics rose, and then bottom of funnel sales metrics rose. That is the same thing. And what I am saying is value your people and your efforts based on lift, not attribution. Mm-hmm. Which is the same as, does the code run? Does the software product work?
Yeah.
Or did you have to go in and say, well, it works, but I don't know why it works. I don't believe that's because you set up this Redis database. Prove to me that this Redis database is the reason the software works. Yeah. That's insane, right? And CEOs generally agree that's insane, but they do that in marketing. And so the conversation that I would have is very similar. Show them this clip. Go show them some of the presentations that Amanda and I have done about attribution and the folly of it. And also, I do want to say this. In B2B with long sales cycles, attribution sucks. It's terrible. But if you're in consumer e-commerce and your only channels are paid performance marketing, paid performance advertising, attribution still works okay. It's still pretty decent. You can go to Facebook and Google and get the modeling and get something pretty darn good, as long as you don't also want to measure or attribute PR, brand, content, social, organic content, like SEO, any of those other channels. As long as you only want to measure performance advertising, actually, before your CEO signs off on conferences and events, or brand investments, or outdoor ads, or content marketing, or an SEO program, or let's get more visible in AI tools, or let's invest in organic social media. Before they sign off on those, you need to have the conversation, that hard conversation where you say, we're going to invest in this. Here's the only way to measure it, which is basically with impressions and other things that historically have been called vanity metrics, and then lift at the bottom, right? Like, we're going to see lift, and that's how we're going to measure. But if you expect attribution, don't give me this budget and don't let me make these investments. Just throw more money at Google and Facebook, because those are the only places where you can truly get attribution. So if attribution is the way you're going to judge me and my job, you tell me now, and I will invest in the channels that give you attribution. And if it's anything else, don't let me do it.
So I think that, first of all, I think that a lot of marketers get this. And I say that it's mainly the expectation setting. It really does.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Expectations is a huge problem. And you know what the other secret problem is? Many, maybe even most marketing problems, I'm going to pull my mic, are actually product problems.
Yes. But marketers can solve them all, can't they? Because we have the magic wand, we have the magic fix it button, and we just press it and we're hey. Because consumers are stupid, and they'll buy anything and read anything and say, wow, never thought of that. How wonderful that this product exists. I'll tell you something else why our job is becoming harder. So Corona days and slightly over the Corona days, we were in hyperscale mode, right? And companies were just having an absolute ball and were throwing spaghetti money on the wall. Now there's so much competition around, and it's just like trying to get heard. And then you have this disgusting word, disgusting, that CEOs detest, called brand. And brand awareness is like, oh my God, no, just give me leads. We'll invest in brand awareness later. And marketers are like, yeah, okay, you go carry on smoking that crack pipe, because it doesn't work that way. and yeah.
One of the really interesting things about this is to go to executives and say, hey, I want you to tell me about our competitors in the space, right? The leaders in any given field who don't invest in brand at all and have become leaders through getting more sales leads, more MQLs and SQLs through whatever, attributable marketing and performance advertising. And there isn't one. You can't find them. They don't exist. All the most successful brands. And what's especially great about this? No one can remember a brand that hasn't invested in brand marketing.
Exactly. It's like, duh. Yeah. And another thing that we often get is like, it's always in the kickoff meeting with our clients, it's like a room full of people, and the CEO is usually involved in the kickoff. He, she are very excited. And they're like, we want a really unique campaign, and we want to be recognized, and we want to be remembered. And then we always create 3 creative directions: the safe, the stuff that's somewhere in the middle, and then this is what we really want to do. And guess what is chosen 9 times out of 10?
The safe one.
Completely. As opposed to the one that people are going to talk about. And that's why, on LinkedIn, what do we talk about? The ones who are particularly good, or the ones that are particularly, whoa, like, what are they doing, right? We could talk about that's a lovely blue screen they're showing us. That is the most delightful blue screen I have ever seen in my life. I wish I had that blue screen.
I wonder about this is like a presentation challenge, right? But if you take those 3 options and you say, hey, we've worked with 412 clients over the last 20 years or whatever it is, and then 390 of them chose this safe option. 16 of them chose this middle option. The 12 most successful ones chose the the extreme version. Here are their results, right? So we took the 12-month marketing results, and like the lift on these was super. Yeah. Which one do you want? Would you like to have lots of lift? Do you want to grow very fast, or would you rather sort of plateau? Because you can choose the safe option, and then you'll get these metrics.
Yeah. Exactly. The problem is that and we've tried that, and then they say, yeah, but they're not exactly like us. They're a different flavor of cybersecurity. So they'll always find the reason to choose the safe option. And then if that doesn't work, then they're willing to get a little bit more risky.
As an entrepreneur, I actually really appreciate this, because I think that if executive teams and CEOs and boards were more risk-taking in their marketing, there would be very little opportunity for folks like me to eat their lunch. Right? Like, it's really nice. It's really nice that they get set in their ways and they make foolish decisions, and they're, conservative in their practices, and they're not willing to invest in lift-based marketing, because that means that startups and new companies who have more appetite for these kinds of things can grow rapidly and take their customers away. I really appreciate that.
I totally agree with you, making our lives somewhat easier. I want to talk about how to explain the non-linear impacts of marketing, because we talked about showing the awareness stage. We talked about the middle stage, but we need, it's very nice that you and I are getting on and we understand what we want, and the marketer listening to what they want. At the end of the day, they still have to explain this up. Yeah. And they still need to have that conversation of how marketing is having an impact on revenue, even though we don't want to have direct impact on revenue. That's a whole different conversation. Right, but we're still expected to show attribution.
Yeah. So here's one of the stories that I like to use, which is in the 20th century, which was sort of the rise of marketing and measurement.
Yeah.
The biggest brands, around the world, and certainly in the United States, used some very clever methodologies that still work today to measure their marketing investments. And so when a CEO says, you can't prove that this person bought this thing because they saw this billboard,
Yep.
I think that is reasonable and that's true. And my response
Yes.
to them would be, is that really what you want? Do you want to be able to prove that a single person made a single purchase based on a single marketing interaction? Or should we think about this as, we're going to make investments, we're going to measure the impact of those investments, and then we're going to see whether we get lift or not. And if we don't get the lift through the experiments, the relatively sophisticated experiments that we can run, then we will turn those off and we will experiment with new things. And that is the way to get lift that our competitors will never be able to invest in. Because you know what everybody can do? Buy more Meta and Google ads and put an attribution model on top of them. Everyone can do that. And that is why Facebook and Google are so good at taking 99 cents of every dollar of margin that you make. That is why many venture-backed companies will lose money on every single person who buys their product, with the hope that they can raise the next round and unprofitably get to the
Yep.
growth slope that venture investors are looking for. That model does not work for very long. It will run out for everybody.
Exactly.
And certainly
That's where we are.
Yeah. If you're trying to run a profitable company, what you need is measurement, not attribution. You can make an investment like, hey, we're going to go hard on PR. We want to be in these publications. We'd like to get these many mentions. We know that these publications influence AI tools, and we know that the visibility rises. We know that they influence Google's AI overviews and results. We're going to see what that lift looks like. Oh, look, traffic is up 12% over what we would have anticipated, what our CFO's model suggested it was going to do this quarter. Let's try that, extending that PR campaign, doubling our investment in that. Did we get even more lift? Are we up to like 18%? No. Okay, it looks like we're plateaued. The PR plateau for investment is around here. Great. That's what we're going to invest in going forward. And those types of investments are fully measurable. You can build metrics around how many people searched for your brand in Google. There's now tools to see how visible are you in AI products.
Yeah.
You can look at homepage traffic. You can look at lift in conversion rates. These are all metrics that are suggestive of investments in things like PR. And obviously you can measure the number of mentions that you get, right, with your PR software. So all this stuff is measurable. It's just that you can't say, we were in the Guardian, then this person went to our website, then they bought immediately.
Never could.
Buyer behavior never worked that way anyway.
No,
Look,
it didn't.
Here's the other problem, Billy, that really pisses me off. It grinds my gears.
You tell me, what pisses you off, Rand? Come on, let's sort it out right now.
I'm infuriated about this, and here's why. When someone sees an ad in their Instagram feed, or in their Facebook, or on Reddit, or LinkedIn, or YouTube, Google is terrible about this, right? Like they see the ad in Google, and then they later purchase your product. Google takes credit for that in their attribution model, right? They say,
right.
But they don't know. Google has no idea whether that ad was actually seen and experienced by the person. That's the supposedly perfect attribution that your CEO is willing to invest in. If you trust Google and Facebook more than you trust your marketers, you should fire your marketers right now, all of them, and you should just buy some Google and Facebook ads and see how your sales go.
Do not fire your marketers. If a CEO is watching this, don't do it. Don't listen to him. We don't want more marketers fired. No. Rand.
I mean, but you also don't want to work for people who don't believe that you do anything.
Exactly. But it's huge. The numbers are huge. I'm not talking about single use cases of marketers who are having issues convincing the management. It is a phenomenon. Okay, we are going to finish up. Any pearls?
Gosh.
No.
I will
Anything you want to say to the greater good?
Yeah. So one other tactic that I have found that's frustratingly effective with C-suite conversations is when you show in those presentations that their competitors are making the same investments. Sometimes when nothing else works, when you can't convince them to invest in measurement over attribution, when you can't convince them to make serendipitous brand investments, when you show them that their competitors are doing it, they go, what? No, we can't let them get away with it and not do it ourselves. Okay, you have the budget now. I don't know what it is. They're very driven by competition as opposed to logic. And so if you need that tool in your tool belt, please use it.
competitor campaigns are among the most successful campaigns that we run, sadly.
I can see
Don't
that.
tell anyone I said that, but it's true.
Yeah, I completely believe you.
Not in isolation, of course, but the minute we turn on the competitors campaign and we know exactly how our USP stands out compared to the competitors.
There you go.
There you go. Rand, you are legendary. Thank you very much. I've really loved talking to you, and I will be hoping to banter with you soon again.
Oh,
and in the meantime, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, take care. Cheers.